part two now on this one. I think before I move on here, I'll establish. I'm gonna turn on my last layer that I was working just for a minute, just so I have something to snap to. Um, I'm gonna put in the projection, the plane of my viewing plane is what it is. It's not a cutting plane because it's just a viewing plane. I'm not cutting through this to look. Maybe I could have done a cutting plane line. Maybe I could have cut through this through center and used that as my viewing plane and establish the view of this kind of at section. That would have been a legit way too. I could just section that and then dimension that. I've chose just to kind of do it as almost this, it's only a partial auxiliary view of that, right? I haven't detailed the base, which would all be foreshortened in my view if I projected all this over and actually drew the full auxiliary view. It's definitely got a lot more detailing to do, and it wouldn't be stuff that I would be using for dimensional purposes anyway. It would just be for like maybe visual clarity. And so I say where I get really shorthand is definitely CAD, and it's a little bit more labor intensive manual to build that out for nothing more than just no dimensionability, just viewing clarity. And so I think with how labor intensive CAD can be, that's where I would forego full auxiliary views and do partials. But with a 3D program, it's actually easier. I mean, the program itself will pull the full auxiliary view. And you can still establish a partial auxiliary view as well with a 3D program. It's just you just have a lot more control, and it's not so labor intensive to establish a full auxiliary view. So anyway, I was thinking about that. So what I'm going to do is just establish a viewing plane here. I don't think we've done that yet on a drawing, maybe. So that's a good one. This is a good reason to do it, and have not done the section, but technically I could have done it with that section. So a viewing plane is just going to be my plane layer with a polyline. I like to use a polyline because I'm going to just turn the ends and essentially I don't know where. I'm just going to get it away. I think I might dimension on one of these. I might have enough room to dimension this. I might have to turn one of these off that I'm not using. But so if I'm thinking about this view here, my viewing plane's like along this way potentially. So I'm not going to come out here away from it. I'm just going to because I'm actually going to rotate this and move it and use it in a different orientation than it exists. So I'm just kind of looking for a good snap of like, okay, here's something I can snap to that's in this area. And I'm looking to just establish a viewing plane. Um, and technically, this doesn't have to be any more than what I'm looking at, and I'm only looking at a partial auxiliary view. So I feel like as long as my viewing plane is wider than the extents of this part that I've drawn in my auxiliary view, that's sufficient to grab the view. I don't necessarily need to come clear out here unless I was doing the full auxiliary view. So I'm thinking of just at least pulling it beyond that mark a little bit, this mark here. So I'm kind of, oh yeah, like here. And then I might extend this way and beyond a little bit. No specific length, but this is like a viewing plane looking that way. With these, we actually turn these this way and point towards it. I did look through our book. I didn't see that this was a specific length, so I look for it not to be like crazy long, and I keep it kind of condensed here. But I don't know, from a quarter to 3/8, maybe I'll just say it's 3/8 long. I think I've done some half-inch long. I think where I'll adjust this length is how big my part is. So if my plane, and I establish a plane, and a half-inch looks like a way too long of a turn back, then I'll shorten that up. Even this 3/8, maybe it's going to look a little too long, but maybe that looks okay proportionally to the rest. All I'm looking to do is just put an arrow on the end of it. So it's not super critical, but and I couldn't find that ASME had an exact standard for this. So um, in some drawings where it was really big, a half-inch might not be sufficiently long. Maybe it needs to be an inch long. So the size of your part and may dictate how long that needs to look to turn back to an arrow is what I've kind of thought as I've done a little bit of research and haven't found anything. It doesn't have to be technically centered over this either. All I'm looking to do is say, oh, am I beyond the extents of that part? Yes, I am. Maybe I can pull it in just a little bit. And I should have joined those together first, but just move it back over there. Yeah, so that's my viewing plane looking that way. I just need some arrows on it that will be in that orientation, and I'll probably apply those through the viewport so they're annotative. And if I don't have one, I don't know if we've done it on both prints yet, but I may have a print that has that as a block, but I could draw one in through the window and create a block pretty quick. But I probably have one because my recent blocks stay more active. Even though I'm not even signed in, I still have my cutting plane blocks here. And I marked one that's an inch, and then I have one that's metric. So technically I have mine. They're annotative. I see their little annotative symbol, the windmill. So that means they'll size right for me. And this one, I guess I didn't label this one, so I was just scared to use it because I wasn't sure if it was metric or standard. That way, when I made them again, I made sure they were metric and an inch. But if we need to recreate them from scratch, we can. I'll do it once I start actually dimensioning. And then the same would be said if I was using this as my view, I would establish a viewing plane somewhere here. So maybe I'll make a copy of this one that I just drew here. But if I was looking the other way, sorry, I want to make it a mirror, not a copy. Mirror this, and let me just go ahead and join this while I'm in the mode here. And I can do my mirror with one selection. Just mirroring through this potentially, maybe. That's not too far. It might be a little too far. I'll pick a different mirror plane. Maybe here. Needs to be orthographically like this. That's not quite far enough, huh? So somewhere in between those two. I could move it though. I'll at least mirror it, say no, and then I'll move it a little further away. Move. These I don't get too set on where they're going to be until I decide where I'm dimensioning and what. But either way, those are my viewing planes. They're going to have arrows pointing back at where I'm looking. Good. And those are going to stay around the view. These I'm going to move. And so I'm going to turn off these construction layers now. I'm going to make a new visible layer in preparation for maybe turning off some of these and cleaning up my viewports. So definitely I've got some crowding going on. I definitely probably can't dimension too much here with this thing here. So maybe the first thing I do before I make my layers, I'll make a copy of this for sure. If you've drawn it right here and it's going to clash with everything, I'm going to make a copy of it. So what I do is I'm going to just make a copy. I'm going to select all of that. I use that one window crossing because it only will grab what is completely under it. If you grab the other direction, it'll grab pieces, and then you can just hold down Shift and deselect things that you don't want to copy. But I want to copy all of this, and so I'll say copy it. Yep. And then I'm going to say from where? Oh, I don't know, any point here. I'm just going to drag it over here. So I'm pulling this thing out of alignment for sure. Normally I would copy this way, but I'm actually going to prep this thing for rotation anyway. So I'm just getting this thing it's going to be in its own viewport over here somewhere. Excellent. Maybe I could construct some, there is an argument that I should maybe keep track of a construction of this. So I'll copy that and make a new one and call it construction layer 3. So I can kind of keep this clean. But if I go to construction layer 3 now and turn it on, I'm just going to make sure I keep this in orthographic alignment. You know me, I like projection. Okay. That seems like I didn't move it out of alignment, but I'm going to rotate this. So maybe I'm going to have a base to rotate this on now. I'm going to rotate it down. So I'm going to use my rotate command. This one to me, I'm going to rotate that object, maybe by center, sure, by center. And I'm going to rotate this down, or I could rotate it by that one point and keep it in projection. So maybe I'll rotate this, choose my rotate command. If I want to keep it on that plane that I kind of established with this line, maybe I'm going to rotate it by this, right? Then I'm going to rotate it down. That looks better to me, like slap it down to 0. So that's a 30-degree rotation down is what I've done there. And that makes sense. It was on a 30-degree twist. So I just rotated that, and I rotated it by the base, so it stayed on my base and kind of in projection plane a little bit. So it's just me keeping that relationship. What I want to know is just remember, this might be, when you're drawing stuff, sometimes I have a little notepad where I'm like, okay, I rotated down 30 degrees or something. There were dimensions I'd keep track of with some notes next to my. That I just need to remember that because part of the view label is going to become, this is like a view AA, not a section or anything. So I'm going to say it's view AA, and and it is rotated down 30 degrees or just rotated 30 degrees. So that'll make sense to someone that says, "Oh, I'm looking this way," but that would kind of be an orthographic. It wouldn't be totally an orthographic alignment. It would really look like this. So if I'm seeing the view that's been kind of removed from its orthographic alignment, I just add some more detailed notes to it. Even if I had to scale it up and I wanted to like make it bigger, and I could do that, and I would add that information to my view as well. My view AA has been rotated 30 degrees and scaled to a 2 to 1, so I can dimension it and detail it a little finer. So we haven't done any of that yet either. But the real nature of mechanical drafting is we do a lot of detailed views. And we do a lot of detailed views that are also scaled differently than where they were pulled from, so that I can expose details and dimension stuff. And then on the same sheet where it came from. So I'll have multiple scales on sheets, but of course I'll have to, because of that, I need to notate in the view or the detail view, I need to notate its scale if I've changed it from what the scale on the sheet says. All right. And I've talked about that before, but that's me thinking ahead a little bit. And this one is a little bit different to do this one. I feel like I'm going to rotate it to however much it is to get it back into orthographic alignment, maybe X and Y instead of being upside down. And like I said, I'll do a little exploration of a 3D part of that in the future and see what. But either way, if I've drawn it up here, I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to do the same thing maybe. I don't probably need to make a copy of it as well. I will make a copy of it probably. So let me go back and finish this though. So since I've made a copy of this, what I do is I go into my layer properties. I showed this at the end of one of the videos the other day, is that I'm going to make a copy of the visible object layer stuff. And so it's going to be, so I make a copy of this layer and I pretty much name it the same, but I also say it like clipped something. One day see a lot. Clipped by viewport or something. Some description that I can easily recognize on my when I'm looking through my layers. Visible object clip by viewport. It would make me want to like turn that on and see what the heck's going on. Because what I'm going to do is turn this off and put it on that layer. Oh, the one thing, let me check one more thing, is when I do that, because that's a visible, it's a copy of that kind of layer. Those are set to plot. I don't want it to plot though. It's almost like a secondary construction layer. And I'm going to turn it off here in a minute, but so now I have a layer to push this to, and this is just one hack method for getting this stuff on a different layer. So I'm just going to select only that object, and I'm going to push it to, of course it varies because it's all there's different line types on it and stuff, but I'm just going to push it all to this. So it'll all turn into visible line work. It'll look like that. It looks like the ghost of what this became. It is truly a tombstone. And then and then I turn that off. So what essentially now I can turn this off and potentially now I can still use this view to dimension really, um, with the viewport that I have and get that thing out of it. Or I could now dimension this one potentially, or maybe both of these can fit in one viewport now. So if I was doing this one though, if I go back and do the same kind of work, it would be similar in that I would make a copy. So sorry, I'm gonna have to do this twice. I'm copying this object. I'm gonna do kind of the same thing where I'm just gonna pull it over out here somewhere. And then I'll just verify that I didn't pull it way out of alignment. Looks like I'm good. And then I'm going to rotate this one back and around some way. I'll do my rotate command. And so I'm gonna rotate it by that same point right here, and I'm gonna just rotate it up till it's in orthographic alignment. And then I'm just gonna watch what. So to me, this one says that I rotated it 150 degrees. So I'm probably gonna say it rotated 150. I mean, that might confuse people. It might even confuse me. I might be like, what did they do? Oh, okay, that's because it went up that way and then 150. You could probably still say it rotated 30 degrees, but that might be confusing that it looks like that and it rotated 30. It really didn't. It rotated more back around. And then I'd push this thing to the other layer as well. The layer that I just created is called clipped in view. Yep, close. So it disappears from my view. So there's my places I could actually uh, zoom in. And I think that's what I'm ready to do, is go zoom in and start dimensioning and finish this thing out. So I want to look at the Sorry, I'm looking through my theory book real quick on something right here. It's definitely a removed auxiliary section. I just wanted to see if that's in here. Conventional revolutions. I'm in chapter 12, just kind of looking through some of the definitions. Yeah, what we're doing is a remove section. That's definitely one of the that's page 402 on your textbook. We just kind of a remove section, and then we've also revolved it. And that trick question was rotated. I mean, there was some quiz. I can't remember who pointed this out to me that one of the answers was rotated. And that's a gotcha question because technically our chapter 12 would call these revolved and we're doing kind of a revolved and removed. But I mean the word rotated does make sense. So I might write rotated underneath the view label here when I come up, but it's actually revolved and removed. I would say I removed it and then I revolved it. But sometimes those revolved ones are like in the plane. Anyway, we won't go too deep. We've moved beyond chapter 12. I can't remember if you have to revisit it this 8 weeks or not with some other questions, but that may be a chapter we don't actually go back and revisit with any other questions. So let's go to the B-side sheet and get a feel for this thing. I think I did it at a 1-to-1. Yeah, because it's fairly small part. It's just that I'm gonna have to do probably two viewports to catch front and top, and I catch this over here, but I think I'm gonna move this in closer. So I think just based off me at a 1-to-1 scale, um, I'm gonna call this viewport just for the front view. Oh, and I just hate these viewports with these multiple grips. Not that I can't use it. I think I'm just gonna delete it though, and I'll add a new viewport. You do. I do too. They're just kind of and that was just I don't remember. I think that this template came with that viewport, and I think if I made a template upgrade, it's going to be that. I have a few template upgrades. I need to get the well. Another thing that bugs me about my template is that the date sequence that I chose here is not the same date sequence as here. So I would like these to be the same sequence, and this can't fit both year without getting outside. So I feel like I should make that adjustment to my template so they're the same, and then. However, I prefer this one over that one, but I think just because I'd have to do a little more work to fix this, this will be easier to fix. And likewise, I should delete those viewports and get it just a easier gripped viewport, I think. Yeah, I agree. I've kind of been deleting those myself. Because these ones just move so much quicker and easy. A different polygon, a star. You can make your rectangle into a sweet star viewport.
So we did make a quadrilateral.
That's true. I think it can be handy if you're like scooping around something. I mean, there is an argument of why some of those might be better, but I think I'm gonna go with just a box here. 1-to-1. That should switch. Let's see. No, I agree. Where's my part? Right there. Sorry. Zoom it in. It's almost 1-to-1. Let's get it there. 1-to-1. I'll lock that down. This viewport might get just a little bit bigger to dimension. Maybe a little bit that way. I could move it over. I do tend to favor kind of being over here on the left side. It's just because of the list and anyway. It's one viewport. I'm gonna just add my two more that I know I'm gonna need. So I'm gonna need the top viewport there. And I'm gonna need an auxiliary viewport somewhere out here maybe. But actually, when it matches properties, it matches scale too, if you ever do that on your viewport. Let's see here. But I'm gonna actually adjust this one. That's the wrong. This one is the one I want to see there. It's close to 1-to-1. And of course I click and it moves. And I'll decide which I'll size these up obviously better once I start dimensioning, but That's that one, and then I'll at least get zoomed in on my object. So I could pick any of those. I just need to remember which one. If I'm picking this one that I drew that way, it only rotated 30. If I pick in the other one, it rotated 150. Depending on which viewport or which view. Let's see here. This one to one. Maybe I'll lock that down so I can move it. A minute. That's the one to one. I don't think I'm one to one there. I must not be one to one here. I must be. I am. Gosh, it looks bigger, but okay. I believe it. I'm definitely going to need more. I can just tell already I'm going to need more room on top view here. So I'm going to, just for my viewing, this thing can come clear down to here, potentially. This will leave more room for this one. I'll probably use this one for mine, potentially. Yeah. If it was the other way, I would get probably rid of that and make room for this one up here, right? Get that other view in, get that viewing. I'll bring it in there just so I have it, but okay, let's get in there in dimension. I'll jump into this viewport. Either one, they're all locked down at the same one to one. And we'll start. I think I'll start with this part here. So yeah, let's do some overall and start to mention the heck out of this thing. So here's overall depth. Which side is better? I don't know. I don't really have a right side view to concern about, and this is going to be removed. So I'm really not thinking about like the dimensions needing to be in between view with this because this is definitely a removed thing. So I can kind of I have the luxury of using the full all the way around this thing. Maybe I'll try to fit some in between here. I do have a viewing plane to consider, and I might have to move it out of the way here in a bit. And so I might crisscross it with my dimensions at first. That's okay. Maybe at least just walk through my mind and methodically work through the dimensions here. So yes, heck yes. Let's get an overall depth, and I'll just pull it to the left, not for any real reason. Overall depth, overall height, overall width. So let's do that. Overall height here, I like. Oh yeah, we could go back and look. We could go back and explore. Where I'm back to thinking that I didn't finish my view. Actually, before I made that copy, I really hadn't finished. Like there's somebody should have stopped me and said there's supposed to be a hidden line through here. So now I've got to kind of finish that over here, I think now. Um, Not that's the end of the world. I could do some of that work on that same last construction layer maybe that I moved it over from. But all I need is maybe like through here. That's the center of that hole. And so I can offset this now. That hole is a quarter-inch hole. So I'm going to offset this. Half of a quarter is an eighth, which is 0.125. And so I'm going to offset that and that. And that should be that hole going down through there hidden. So yeah. And I can just trim and extend those, right? Yeah, let's do that. Let's extend those. And let's trim the rest. And then when I looked across that hole, it would actually kind of look like so these would be hidden, right? This is a hidden layer. And I'll match those properties here. That's the hole going down through. So where I'm still going to see this as the hole, and that's where those exits there. And then I'm going to see, still going to see, I'm going to actually, yeah, I'm still going to see this surface on the edge. But what I would see is maybe a line across here, right? Does that sound right?
The intersection of it would still be that curve.
It would still be the curve. Yeah. So it would be curved maybe or not.
I mean, you put a hidden line, but it'd be blocked perfectly by the visible object line. So that
Oh
would be
yeah, because you would still. I would almost view it as if I removed that material, it would look like. Am I not thinking right that it would look like this?
You're not no, because still a cross section of a curved object.
Still a cross section of a curved object.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
like linear. Like the back of the circle doesn't change. That view you would.
this would be depressed
Yeah,
here though. This would be
if you projected it from the other view.
right here. Projected this that I had an alignment.
Uh,
or from
like if
or
we're,
from if I drop this down into orthographic alignment here, I could project across. That makes more sense. Then it would show me the ellipse. So let me work that out. Did you guys do that on yours?
I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm cheating.
No, I think that this would show up as a little depression here, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I would want. And so what I could do is um this is the one I'm detailing. It shows that I've worked off the rotated one. So maybe I would just this is another one that I'm gonna maybe make a copy of. I know this gets weird, but what I'm interested in, actually, it's just my own curiosity, is just finishing the detail here before I get to town. So I'm making a copy here, but in order to do that, just like you're saying, I've got to move this in orthographic alignment with it. So if I make that copy, this is in orthographic alignment with the actual view where I taken it, but I want this one to be, I want to reference this as almost this view here. So I want it to be in orthographic alignment here. And all I'm using it for, I'm going to push it to that same layer that's turned off right now. This clipped by maybe, okay, close. And I'm going to turn that layer on real quick. So I get both those ghosts. And this is going to look like a mess, but it's okay. It's all going to disappear when I get there. I'm just going to use it for construction. What we're talking about is this, right? This is the height of the area where the hole really starts in that material. And if I project this across here, such a subtle detail, like it'd be the lowest part of the dip, huh? Yeah, and I'm going to project it just across and through the part. And so this, and then I have to look at my hole as this is the width of the hole. And so there would be a center here, right? And that's where I need to actually make this ellipse. Really weird ellipse here. So let me just do it though. I need a center. So I have one, I need a cross center, the center between those two holes. That's a 1/4 inch diameter. So I could offset this. I'm still on the 1/8 inch offset, so I could offset this. This I'm going to move to construction layer though. This is a construction center line to me. Technically, I need that. Actually, it's something that I haven't added there either. My center line through that hole. Okay, so this is an ellipse right here, right? Yes. This is an ellipse. This is center of the ellipse. This is kind of one extent, and this is the other extent. Is that correct? I think that's two. I think I gotta go the other way from top surface down. So I need that same distance.
Oh,
I think I need to bear with me here. I need to offset this distance this way potentially. That's going to be ugly, but let me match those properties. The way I see this ellipse maybe coming in here is this is center, maybe this is the extent, and this is the extent. Is that more correct? That looks correct,
it's
right?
just a different.
Oh, yeah. That's actually how that would look. It would dip down there, huh? So now I can start trimming that out a little bit. Oh, I know. It's like this, whatever this dimension was that came across. And so that I didn't actually pick I actually picked from point to point as my distance, but it was,
You could just do the opposite, the long corners of it instead. It would be the exact same width without having to take that opposite.
oh, yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Do the two major axes and then the minor,
Right here,
not just going down.
using the axis in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Like center.
This one? This one?
Just add a center line of that slot.
I did, yeah. Technically, I did an offset of this, but I could have gone into and essentially I do want that to become a center line actually. So yeah. One of the ways I could have done that, I'll delete it real quick. I could have came in here on my center line layer and I could pick my center line command. And this does need a center line. Like it's one thing I hadn't finished there. That thing should have a center line down through it. With the right extents here, 0.25, and we'll look at those center lines a little closer once we get at the finish line here. That's good. I like that. That's essentially where I got my center line, was the whole center. Yep. And then what I've got to do is I got to trim all this now. Whether you built it this way or you built it another way is fine. I mean, this is a fine detail. What do I got to do? Trim it though, right? Trim this stuff out. and trim this out here. Maybe I'll zoom in here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like that. So now let me just turn off this layer.
And you can pop, yeah. Put that at the bottom.
This one
Well, actually, that's not. Yep.
in a mirror, right here
Drag another.
from this one. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm gonna bring on my construction layer again. It's a fine detail. It's nice to be able to notice this, but essentially that's all we're saying here. Let me is that yeah, when you drill the hole in that top, you would kind of lose some of that top surface that's the very apex of that part. It'd be chewed up by that drilling, that the mechanics of drilling that would it would and I truly looked at it and it's with my perpendicular line of sight that I'm looking, it almost looked like a little depression in the top. I wish they had like that part 3D model to grab and like look at it, but or a 3D printed part, but it would look like that. Yeah.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah.
can you also trim out the hidden line connecting that hole to the
Yeah,
other hole?
down. Yep.
Right here.
That one.
This one right here. Except for I've got to, yeah, and I've got to kind of project some of that stuff across, huh? So I think I'll leave it for a minute till I do. It's the other depression that it would have, right? Like this, if it's going to go this other way. I think
No, it's gonna.
this way. Oh yeah, I'm gonna project these down. Yeah, I like it. Down and over, yes. I do argue that I wouldn't. You don't think I would see a hidden line here though?
No, because it's still curved on the other side of the drill. On this side of the drill, it has that curve, and on the other side of the drill, it also has that curve.
For sure, but you don't think you would see the depression of that across the center where it was drilled out?
I think if you bored a square hole, would you see a hidden line?
No.
Okay, and the circle
Is this is the same?
It's still,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's no change
A hole's a hole. A hole's a rectangle
in that
orientation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I get it. Yeah, yeah. I would explain it like that's really fine detail work for AutoCAD and be like, don't waste your time on that. That could be, your design manager might be like, stop wasting time on that perfection. Just move on. We get it. It's a hole. No, no, no. I'm gonna keep doing it though. Because I do kind of like it. It's just kind of a nerd out thing a little bit, We're not under but see, I want to know this too. I want to project this over and across. At least I'll just go across the part somewhere. And so this is the difference here, yes. And these ones I could extend down. Not necessarily. It's going to go this way. This is going to cut up like this and cut yeah, I got to cut these out
It's gonna cut down.
this way.
Cut down, down.
So my ellipse, yeah, I like it. My ellipse, and if you use this one, this is end point of axis here, and end point, and then minor. That's the one you could use it the other way. So yep. This is going to be hidden line work. I'm going to trim this out here. Right here, yes. Your agreement there, and then I'm going to trim this out as well. That's correct. Is that how you guys got yours? Yeah. It's kind of weird, huh?
There's no perspective, so you'd imagine to see another line behind there, but it really just has to.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. If you don't put in these, it's definitely not a huge, it's not like I wouldn't be marking that you missed hidden lines or missed.
Be able to actually, I know.
Yeah, I know. If you like zoom out, you're like, that's where your design manager is like, quit doing that. I can't even see that. But you'd be like, wait, it's perfect.
The hidden line looks good, but the visible line just, yeah, looks good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me turn off this stuff here. And my ghost, turn that off. I'll turn off my ghost layer. And they'd be like, why? Yeah, it looks like somebody that,
Especially if you go to plot it.
yeah, no, it's good. I like it. It's kind of a fine detail. I've still got to get back to dimensioning. I'm in the dimensioning thing, but it did make me think once I got over here that at least had missed my hidden lines there. That's what brought that back to my attention. That yeah, there's a fine detail here. Whether you put it in, it's okay, you know. Um, I think it's good to kind of think about it at least. Excellent. So then I did never finish my overall width, so I'm just gonna keep dimension now. Yep, gotta get back on my dimension and bandwagon. So, and I'll keep filming this. If you guys gotta take off, take off. But I'll finish out my dimensioning. Yeah, I grabbed that wrong, so I immediately escaped. It's not shouldn't be 301. If it is, everything is wrong from the get-go, which that could happen overall. Now that I've captured that, I'll look at each part individually, just like I do methodically look through. I'll start with the rectangular base. I do like this as a datum right off the bottom. This nice flat surface, the way we positioned it in its stable part position, draws myself to this being a nice controlled datum surface to pull from. So I'm thinking about just that part width and height, I should say, is this one. Seems critical. And then I need its other dimensions here. So I've got one. It's just based off nothing, right? So when I come to this one, I say, you know, what's this based off of? Well, it's based off of itself, front to back, and I don't know which one is going to be a controlled surface or not. To me, this becomes another part that might be best controlled from center lines, especially where I have this twisted part that I'm going to have to tell it how far it's twisted. Probably by a degree is going to be helpful. I could do point to point. You'll probably argue with me and be like, "Hey, the last time you did point to point, and then now you're going to do degrees. What is your problem?" I'm like, "I know. I'm a total flake." So it's because point to point is ugly. You saw that in that last part we did. It's not ugly. It's just it's time consuming. But why I'm going off on a rant here is that I think I'm going to establish a center line of this part up here. And then these are going to be controls, I think, for me. So I'm going to have like a controlled base surface and probably a controlled center line. I'm going to base some of my measurements on my holes and off this center line that I just drew. So yep. I think I'm gonna call these my some good controls to use. And I can go ahead and extend these out because I think I'm going to leave them on. I could call the front surface though the control. I could start dimensioning from the front surface. So um, you know that could be. So this is one way to dimension, and there's more ways because these are a nice surface to pull from. Like this surface is 3/4 of an inch tall, it's 3 inches wide. You know, I could call it relatively flat. I mean, it is flat. You know, and so could I pull dimensions from the front or back? I think so, yes. Like I could use them and not establish the center lines that I just did. The only reason why I'm kind of heading this way is because of this twist of this part. And I feel like the best way to maybe control that twist is maybe with its own center line. It's going to go center line crazy here now, right? Like here's a center line between it this way, which makes sense. It's kind of like this is the center line of the hole through it. But if I put this center line through, I can dimension to this maybe and say, hey, this is a nice controlled point. Center lines are good controls. Let's maybe put a degree that maybe is not going to be a reference degree. Maybe it is going to be a critical degree. And so that dimension, in order to do that, this probably has to come out here a ways. I don't know how far, but I want to keep it out in alignment. And one of my dimensions. I'm already planning ahead, so that's me thinking about this part. But let me go back to just the base part, and like start to think like, well, this 2 inch, maybe I'll control it from a center too. So I'm going to control center and center. So let me dimension this. I'm going to say that 2 inch actually is going to come from center. I'm going to say that it's 1 inch out and then it's 2 inch. So here's my maze. Now I'm coming off a center line control. 1 over from control, back 2 to the back surface. Okay. So that's kind of locating. To me, that's a little bit of a location of the part size here. So we've got and I've got part width. That's from left to right control. I could control this part width here as well off this. Maybe it looks better here, right? So to say here to here is going to be 150. I'm gonna pull that out a little further, maybe. Um, so I've applied these dimensions, thinking of them as locating dimensions from what I've established in my top view is this like X and Y control center lines. So that's how I've sized and located my rectangular part. It's 3/4 of an inch off the base control. Then it's 2 inches, but it's an inch off center. And then it's 3 inches, but it's an inch and a half off center is how I'm thinking of that part. So I feel like it's sized and located. And now I'll go to its features on it. Specifically, it has outer radius corners, right? I think of that. So I just need to find a place to point those out. Top view only has them. So I've got to go to top view radius feature, maybe somewhere out of the way. I mean, this isn't bad. I'm crossing. It doesn't matter at this point. I might decide to move it, but I definitely need I definitely need this as a feature. Looks like I'll have to move my viewing plane. That's okay. But there's 4 of these. I gotta call those out while I'm thinking about them. 4 times of those, right? Excellent. 4 of those features. They really have a center location. I think the center of the hole and the center of those are going to help locate that. So let's think of those though. If I locate this radius now, I've got it sized. I got 4 of them. Let's locate them then. Maybe I'll locate them right here. To me, I'm going to locate them from center though, not from outside edge because I'm working off center as my control. Not that you couldn't. If you decided to pull, if you decided that this is front surface is control now, and I'm saying that that's from here to here is 1 inch and then 2 inches off this front surface control, then I might pull a dimension from that to this would be a legit dimension because I'm saying someone could say, I'm not saying that, but someone could say, hey, my front surface is a control, so go ahead and pull dimensions from it. And I'm still saying I'm working off center. And so I want to know from center out to that radius, this thing here, right? This is what I'm looking to locate. Of course, I don't want that to overlap. I need to tuck these back to the object edge like that. Let the center line do the reaching. So that's located in Y direction, and I just need to locate it in the X direction. So I'm going to do that from this center, though. And I could do that in between views. That'd be okay. Maybe I could do it over here, yes, but it does relate to the relationship between there. And I have room here. So let's dimension that location from here, this center, to here, right? I know it seems like I'm working off 2 different holes, but because of my already establishing those center line relationships, I'm able to only do minimal dimensioning and make that apply to all these holes. So these ones are coming off 3/4. I'm going to pull these other ones probably. Yes, I'm going to pull another 3/4 line, and I'm going to pull another 1.5 inch line. And I'm really still thinking outer radius, but I think I'm going to pull this one. Sorry, this one. Those will likely end up stacking up close together. 3/4 off of center to those locations, 1.25 inch off of center. So I'll pull this other one out too. I'm still thinking just outer radius. So just so you know, that's where my mind is thinking. But what I'm going to get is the benefit of it also located my holes. It's the same. So that's me center base control for hole pattern. There's an argument that is the hole to hole critical. Yeah, it might be. And then one of these would become reference, one would become control, and then the overall would become a control, and then one of these would become reference. So one day we'll have a part that we know which one is which. We are not there yet though. Now I'm thinking of the hole. Those are features of size on the base part. And so they need to be sized and located. Well, maybe I'll call out their diameter. So I'm going to call out a diameter size of this little hole here. Seems like a nice place to say there's 4 of those. 4 times. Oh, you could. Yeah. You absolutely could. I think I've mentioned this before that I kind of disassociate those, but you could. And the reason why I disassociate them is because it's just on a different feature. And part of me says if this is not like a one continuous part, and if this was 2 parts built, one is built, the other one is maybe welded to it, if it's a steel part, this might be a place where the machinist wouldn't take a full square block and machine all that, but he might say, give me 2 like laser cut parts. I'll do some fine machine work on them. and then you can join them together with welding. And if that's the case, then the five each would not apply. I would almost want to detail them separate as kind of these separate features, even though they're the same size, they're kind of different features of size on different parts. So just think of that. Yes, it works here because we just don't have that knowledge of this part, but so five would be sufficient here. In my mind, just it works. My mind works a little better to say I'm going to call this one out individually, and that might not be clear to you guys, but that's my I just made my case for that is that I can kind of view them as two different parts even, and so I would disassociate that connection. Yeah, but you could absolutely in where we're at and doing what we're doing, five is great. And if I would see somebody do that on a print, I would understand. Yep, I know what you're doing. So. Yeah, we're going to use that in GD&T. They're GD&T is the best way to use that kind of symbol. Um, is that concentric symbol? Yeah. Right at this point, we're not using it yet, but because then we'd have to GD&T our whole flipping thing, and then it's gonna we're gonna get there. Don't you worry. You know, we feel like we're just spending a lot of time just doing what we're doing, but we're gonna get even worse once we start doing like, oh, I'm gonna use symbology and hieroglyphics of GD&T. Now I kind of have to use it on everything. Because it's kind of like it would be like half, yeah. Anyway, you could also call that as a local note. So at this point in our career, like where we're at, like you could also like actually add on like of course I wouldn't add it on this. I'd add it on my dimension layer. So it's not but I could make a local note that said concentric. Um, in this case, this shows the concentric nature of that though. So my dimensions actually cover that because they're the way my crosshairs are and my dimensions are working together. So I think I've sized and located both the outside radius and the holes. And so now I can move away from this part, I think, and look at the little the nature of this part here. And so that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll call out its individual height here. I kind of have it here mathematically. I could figure it out. Um, so if I'm thinking about its overall width, well, let's look at it in this view. It's easy to see as a rectangle here. It's going to need a length and a width essentially. And so I think I'm going to call that out. This is a dimension that's kind of just to itself, like, hey, it's my front to my back surface. I'm this long. It's a critical dimension to have. I need it. That's the overall width of that part. I'm just going to then worry about locating it in a minute. That's its size. It's an inch. But remember, it's just a size unto itself. It's not located anything that's controlled. So it's just this 1 inch size front to back. Got it. And then its overall width, I think I'll pull, and that's an aligned dimension. So you might feel like I'm breaking, this is where I'm kind of breaking the rule of if I could go point to point here and it gets pretty busy, just like our last gusset did or whatever on that other part, I could actually pull from center point, point, point to point, and then worry about them from the other center point to point, the X and Y type. That's a legit way to, and some industries might make you do that. I'm maybe going to break the rule. We could have done this yesterday because I told you, yeah, maybe could do this. So this is how maybe an industry might do it where they're not as ASME constrained. They would maybe be able to allow some aligned dimensions on this. And so that's the width. And then I would need to know this direction. And yes, I could pull it here, but maybe I could just pull this in my auxiliary view. There's a reason why I made an auxiliary view. Maybe I should use it. Um, the only difference would be is that, yeah, I think I will use it. And so I could just come over here to this one is the one that I'm going to put my viewport and say, hey, I'm just going to say, uh, it's an inch and a half wide this way, right? This makes sense. Technically, this control here, this center line really lines up with this center line as well. And so we could say that they're actually the same. They're in different views, yes, but they are representing the same like control. So there is a size and a size with kind of a center line that really is mimicking these center lines here. And so I just need the thing in the other direction, which is like this direction. Problem is like pulling that, where's the best place to pull it? Well, I don't know. I could pull it. I think I'm gonna pull it here up to this like quadrant and make sure I don't grab some weird place on that weird ellipse that I've got, but up here at the quadrant of this maybe where it's truly flat and I think it's where these two would meet. Yes, that seems right. It should, if I get the wrong dimension, I will know that I grabbed something wrong, but it's an inch and a half, yes. And so my argument here is, okay, well, what I would come is a scenario that I'm kind of chaining these together. So that means if this is off, then this is going to be off. I would need to establish which one is the most critical.
Could
You
you
know,
just have the top surface of that bottom plate be your
datum.
forward?
Yeah, I think so. You could use this top surface as one. Yep. And then you would view that yeah,
Okay,
that that this dimension's going from this surface down and this surface up. And so you've moved your bottom surface as datum into this top surface. Yeah, I think that's legit. Hmm. And in that case, you would leave both of these as like and maybe this one becomes a reference dimension. And these both are critical holds. And this one's reference. I just like to talk through this because this becomes real mysterious to people. So the more I like sit here and beat this to death, anytime I have this kind of relationship going on, I just want to make sure that at some point one of these might become a reference dimension. And we don't know yet, so it's okay. At some of the drawings I've done that and I put parentheses around one or the other. I have in mind that this one is probably, I really don't know which one. There might one of them just is going to be critical, you know. Um, so I don't know which one. Maybe this one is actually less critical. Maybe the whole location is critical, but this is not. So we'll deal with that in a minute. I'm just dealing with its overall size. So I feel like I've at least captured, height, width, and depth. They're captured in three different views, yes, but they're there. So it gets a little bit more. I got to piece myself together here on when I'm viewing this print. Now I just want to locate that part. So it's located kind of weird, and that's where I feel like well, if I'm using this as a center, or if I'm using this as here's one way I'll think about it. For one, I'm going to worry about how it's twisted first, is maybe it's the first thing I need to locate is that twist. So I'll break my rules a little bit. And I'll say I'm going to use an angular dimension, and I'm going to make it be a critical dimension. I'm going to say off this controlled center line to its center line, this is going to be maybe a critical dimension to have. It was critical for us to draw it, and where I'm going to put that in, I don't know. I'm going to put it in off the part, and I might have to like uh, move it a little bit here once it's there, so I don't get that dimension line interference. I'm gonna have to cut that extension line eventually, but yeah. So this is off a nice controlled center line, and it's 30 degrees tipped. And I wouldn't put a parentheses around that. I might be my critical hold. This is 30 degrees. It has to be 30 degrees. Okay. And now I'm going to think about it since maybe I'm coming from here 30 degrees to here. I'm going to put a dimension linearly here. I'm kind of building this maze back to this dimension. This is weird, I know. This dimension is, remember, it's just unto itself. It's not unto any critical hold, no critical datums. So what I say is, if I say, well, datum's here to here, what about if I say from here to here? Still an angular dimension, but now I'm kind of coming back to a datum. I'm going to pull this one back to the object edge, which is going to be weird, right? That's going to pull weird. So I think I'll build a dimension line that's there. This is the way I got around this last time with these, is I go to my dimension layer, kind of cheat my way into this. I'm going to say, oh, I want to know this dimension value somewhere out here. So I've got an overlapping line there. And now what I've got is, if I just delete this for a second, I still have this dimension line to the object edge. Technicality, this should break away by a 16th. This is a small detail, but and the center line is going to overlap that anyway a little bit, and you may not even be able to tell that I did or didn't do that. But now this gives me a place to potentially pull a dimension um, in alignment with, right? Dimension this from here to perpendicular to here. Yeah, the 1 inch is going to take care of actually this not being a, yeah, this is going to be okay. I'm going to kind of use their extension lines strategically. They're going to overlap on my print. You're not going to be able to tell, but this is why I'm adding this, is I'm just saying it ties this back to a control a little bit. I'm 30 degrees up, then I'm half inch over from that, and now I'm 1 inch back this other way. So eventually I'm kind of amazing my way back to this datum. I'm going to do the same thing in the other direction though. Here, this one. I want to locate this as well. So remember that these represent what's going on over there. Again, they line up with each other, even though they're on different views. They're still the same datums in some way. So I can actually establish this one pretty easier here. It's from center out here. This dimension to here is its location. from a center. So it's not just a 1.5 to itself. It's actually located off center 7.5, and then its overall width is 1.5. So kind of locating that. And then we can say we're located. Remember, this is another kind of location and size in some ways. So I feel like I've located it in 3 dimensions. Now let's worry about its features of size, which are complicated itself. It's got a hole through the top and a hole through the middle, and slots down the side. All this needs to be sized. So let's just take them one bite at a time. The only place to size the slots is in this view here. Everything else has some foreshortened aspects of it, or hidden line that I don't want to dimension to. So come back over here. And I like the idea of what you said, Nathan, is now if I do feel like, this surface is going to be in common with this surface, if this is really my datum instead of this one, then I can just pull dimensions off of that. So I'm going to say dimension maybe this one to the bottom of slot is 1/4 inch. But then I'm also going to say to the next from the same datum here up to this, rather than say from there to there, quarter, I'm actually going to prefer this pulled from the same base. And then I need the depth of slot here. And that's going to maybe break some rules. So I think I'll pull it from here though. This is a datum to here. And so you'd be like, why do I locate it that way? Yeah, it's because I'm working off a datum. I'm working off of a control that all these other dimensions are working off of. So should I do both? That's the great debate. Is this because of this orthographic alignment? Can I assume that these are? Yeah, usually this is going to be sufficient to understand that this is likewise. You might be in an industry where they say call this out 2 times, call this out two. Okay, but I'm going to say the orthographic alignment is what sets that precedence. So I feel like that's going to locate that other side as well, and sized it and located it just there. I don't think I need to do any other. It's going to be known that it goes that 1 inch through depth of, yeah. So I feel like maybe that's it for the slot cuts. Let me move on to the center bore hole. Okay, that's got to be on the auxiliary view as well. It's the only place it appears as a circle. So let's get that thing size, diameter. One of those only, so I'm just going to leave it. And then locate it. Okay, let's just decide if I've located it already. It's on center here, and I haven't located it in this orientation here. So if I am calling this controlled with that other surface, then I can dimension that here up to this point right here, right? And then bring that back to the edge there. So that looks like that. So that's definitely a location, and this is the other location. So this is doing double duty. It's locating the full parts, plus it's locating the whole center. I'm showing that that's vertical. So kind of size and located. You could have located this here. It might be a nice to know. Someone might like this one as a reference as well, and they would put it over here. It's not a dual dimension. It's kind of another check yourself dimension here, but it would be like this dimension to center. And I just pulled it to the other direction. Not that I couldn't put it over there. I could have put it to the left side, but I've got room over here too. And this is going to be out to the edge like this. This might be a reference dimension though too, depending on, maybe it's more critical to hold the 3/4 that we dimensioned over here, and this one might become a reference dimension. I'll leave them both just without parentheses around them because I don't know, but that would be a nice to know, especially if my base was control. And yeah, then I would have established 2 datums though, this one plus this one. Sorry, this one plus this one. So just think through that, and you'll get sick of me talking through this all the time. You probably already are. That's okay. I'm gonna keep doing it. That is the size and location for that hole. We still got the hole down through the top. Where do I see that? Right here. And this is my argument of it. Yeah, you could have bundled it with the rest. I chose mine as a separate entity of itself. So I got to size it. And there's only one of them. And maybe I'll just say, just because I'm like, well, I'm going to size it down here so it doesn't get confused. Even though it could be 5 here. Yes, I'm going to do mine there. And then I got to worry about its location off a center or something. Maybe it's already located. It all shows this axial alignment here. Maybe I don't have to do any other additional locating. I don't think I do. Might be enough. Cool. Cool, cool. Is that it? That might be it. We might be out of it. That's the last feature. That's the way I walked through this thing. Feature to feature. Part overalls, then its features. Next part, its features.
People like notate that
Yeah, we gotta do some
Well,
views.
well, well,
Oh yeah, this could be this yeah, how you would do this is yeah, that's a good point because it's not through. If I said through, I would understand it as this going through this. If I said through all, I would think it's going down through everything. So it's just this surface. So I say I probably would leave it like this. Yeah, that's a good point though. I think it's the critical nature of through and through all though are definitely added when I'm going through, and otherwise it should be understood that it's not. But it's good gray area, and I think I could maybe have this wrong also, but I'm gonna leave it. So good thinking though. I'm gonna rely on people looking at my other views to determine that. Yeah, but that's good. That's a good thought. Yeah. And it might be a reason why if it needed different notation, it would be a reason not to bundle it under this one as well. Yeah, I gotta do my view planes and kind of move them. Like I haven't cleaned this up yet to know this is probably the one I'm going to keep. It's actually got the less interference, and this one I'm probably going to say I didn't actually need it. If I would have needed it, I'd probably just moved it a little further away, but I wouldn't move it until I've definitely tightened these up a little bit, gone through my spacing and determined what looks best. So I think I'm going to be able to leave this and tuck these in a little tighter potentially. Maybe not, but we'll see if I have to slide it out. I still want to keep it kind of in that orthographic way. So if I slide, I just want to slide it out a little further or slide it away a little further because I've got to put the arrows on it. So let's do that. I don't know if you guys still have your arrows. I have mine that I could block and put here, but I can just create a block while I'm in here and do that as any layer that's just solid. It doesn't matter. Like I use my visible object layer. Maybe it makes it a darker, bolder thing than maybe it should be. Maybe it should be on a text layer or something that's not as dark and bold, but I don't know. I'm going to do mine here. And the way we did that is it's double the size. And I think I'm going to pull, I'm going to see if I have this memorized, but we need to start the width at a point 0.8, 0.08. That sounds correct. The ending width is 0, and the length of this thing is double the size of another one. It's a 1/4 inch. Yeah, so there's actually my double the size arrow at a 1-to-1 scale. If it stayed that way, that would be fine. Technically, we are that scale, so I could actually leave this on there. I'm still going to block it, do the right thing, and make it annotative. Um, just to remind you how I did that, right? So I made it as a polyline that had width. 0.8 is double the size, 0.25 is double the length of a normal arrow. And then if I block that thing, just create a block. This is oh, so maybe I'll just call this a viewing plane. Viewing plane arrow. It's really like the exact same as a cutting plane arrow. Viewing plane arrow, this is inch. That's one thing I needed to know when I look at my list of blocks of which one's metric, which one. You'll know right away when you drop the wrong one on your screen. It'll be huge or small. And the insertion point I like here where it connects to the other polyline. And then I didn't select the objects yet, but it's going to be this little thing there. I'm going to make it annotative so that it'll behave. Match block orientation to layout. So I think it's just this is if I lock this in, it's always going to be dropping at this angle. I think I could say yes or no, but I'm just going to say I'm going to leave it unchecked. I can always rotate it like we've been doing other rotations. So now I've got a block of that thing, and so technically I don't want this one anymore. I want my annotative block one to be inserted, and it should show up in your list here now. Mine definitely shows viewing plane, it even shows it in its weird orientation. So there it is. It's ready to go there. I can insert that again over here. I could make a copy, but there it is. And then all we're looking to achieve, right, is if I come in here to this viewport and I change it's and I end up changing its scale, I want that arrow to flex for me. There it goes. I can see it change its size. If I double it up, it auto adjusts for me. It looks like it's double the size of that little dimension arrow there. Yeah, heck yeah. So that's working for me good. 1-to-1 is what it'll be though. And now I've messed up my entire viewport, but I've never have orthographically aligned that yet either. I've just started to mention it. So lock it down again, go back into it and start cleaning this up, right? And then I need to label this, so I don't step away from that yet. Let's do my labeling. That's the last. So I need some multi-line text. I'm going to put it on the text layer. Make sure I put that on the text layer when I do this. So text, multi-line text, sure. I need the view label here. A, Ron. What I think. I'll make a copy of that. Wrong text size, though. I'll get in here and change that. So that's one thing. These should be double the size. I didn't catch that when I put it in. So I'm just going to highlight it in my text box and go down through my list. I should have double the size text or a 0.2. There it is. It's got to be bold, big. Right. See you guys tomorrow if you're taking the test. Yep. Copy that. I'm going to copy this through the copy. Somewhere here. Yeah, I could keep it in alignment. Can be in different positions on this for sure. I can move this around if I need to. Just as long as it's close to the arrow. It's an AA designation. I need to make a multi-line text for this. So I'll do that too, multi-line text. I need a view label. So especially if I've removed something from its orthographic, anytime I've removed something from its orthographic alignment, I'm going to make a new view label. I'm going to make this thing also be double the size text. Is this the one? That one? Yeah, maybe I'll even center justify. Doesn't matter too much because I can move my text box, but I try to choose center justify a little bit. But this is view, so it's not section or it's not cutting plane. It's just view A to A. So it's just a viewing plane. I'm going to underline this text though, and this I should do to all mine actually. I think sometimes when I've done my section, I forgot to underline it. That's okay. If I don't have any text underneath it, I don't have to underline it. But I think I'm going to underline it and then go down to the next line. And I want anything underneath it that's going to be maybe view specific details or some information. I'm going to put it on the standard size text. I don't think my text box is going to like this. I think it doesn't like mixed up text, but it will. So maybe I'll write it first, and then I'll adjust the text size just manually. It's gonna if I went over there, if I went to change the text size now, I think it's going to change the entire text box size and move that back to small. So let's just say that this is all I want to say is it's rotated. And I don't want this to be underlined. I just want the title. So rotated minus 30 degrees. If you use the upper one, I think I would say it's 150 degrees maybe. But this one has been rotated 30 degrees for my viewing plane. And I want that text to be small though. So I'm going to come up here and I should have it in my drop-down list. There it is. So I have those two text sizes. So that's a way to get around it if it wants to convert everything to the other text. Just type it out, highlight it, and then choose a text size that works. So this is maybe just a little more information in my view or in my view title. If I had scaled it, like I said, for a detailed view, if I needed to blow this up to be able to detail it better, annotate it, then I would write that it's been scaled at whatever scale is, 2-to-1 or something. If I've blown it up. Yeah.
It's still trying to make mine the same size.
Same size here. Yeah. So let's see what I did differently here is I wrote it all at the big size. And then I came back in here and I only specifically highlighted that phrase. And then I came in my little on my tab. Yep. Yeah, these two should show up for you because there's preloaded sizes that you have. But if they don't, there's another workaround to that too. You can actually start typing in you can actually type in a text size there, but having those text heights preloaded is helpful. Yeah. Yeah. It just doesn't like to do a mixed assortment off the, yeah. It'll always be like, you want to resize everything? No. But that's a way to force it manually. All right, now all I got to do is clean up. I got to tuck all this stuff up. So that's probably what maybe I'll put it on. I'll do it on screen, but that's all we got today, you guys. And I know there's one more drawing. I know it's Friday tomorrow, so I will make a video of it today. I'll post a video. Maybe I won't be able to help you like individually, but it might be weekend homework or tomorrow. We can do it tomorrow. She said I'm not going to talk through it probably until everybody's done with their tests. I want to give everybody at least a couple hours to take their final math test. So there just won't be a ton of draw time tomorrow unless you're individually working. So I will try to make a video this afternoon for it. So if you want to come in and use the lab, you could follow along to a video while people are doing a math test. So I think I'll make that as a priority. I probably have an old video of it, but I think I'll make a new video this this afternoon for sure. I can draw that one. Um, this is inches, so this is 0.375 away. Yeah. I'll start cleaning up. So I will keep this on screen while I do this. I know sometimes I turn off my video and I don't do this on screen, but I'll go ahead and do this one. That's 375. This is going to be an intermediate dimension. I think I'll drop the arrows in. I'm going to line these up. I do like this alliance. So I know this looks like a chain. I've talked through that a few times. I actually do like this intermediate dimension lineup. I can use my spacing one to the other. It's 0.25 after that, right? And if they clash, they actually work good. It's the millimeter one that I usually don't like at a 1-to-1. That 6 millimeters just doesn't seem to be good. But this is good. Those are staggered. I like it. So that view's done. Let's go to this view. I might move this one a little bit. I don't know. Kind of just kept it away from that one on purpose. So this one might become my first intermediate dimension. Let's see what I would say. I don't know. Which would really be this far away. I know it has all these weird grips. It gets kind of crazy. Technically, if I kept it 375 away like that, it's going to make me move my view plane. So if I don't like it, I'll change it. But that's where the next setup should be. I'm going to line these two up. And I'm going to move this one up. It might actually work out pretty good. This one's going to come in to be a 1/4 inch and away from here. Uh-oh. I've got them overlapping each other. I think I can get it. There it is. Something like that. It's the correct spacing. Hey, that just about works without interference. So I like that. Probably just leave it. If yours did have interference, just drag that thing away a little bit further. I've got room to work with down here. Potentially, it makes my viewport bigger, so I'm gonna have to evaluate that when I get back to my viewport. That's always kind of a pain, but these are intermediates. I haven't worried about anything cutting through itself yet, I don't think. No, I don't have any cuts. No, this one I will have though. So maybe I'll drag this in. So I'm gonna line up with that one, I think. 7.5. No, I'm not. I'm gonna line this one up so that'll get rid of my interference that I have here. Yeah, let's get this one back out. This is my lined up one. So these will be point to point. That looks pretty clean. This one's gonna, and I can space those maybe off that. This one's base. This ones are spaced at 0.25. If I hit auto, it should be correct. And then if I don't like that, if it's a little bit tight, I'll space it just a little bit. And I do feel like I'm just a little tight, and maybe I'll pull this way away a little further. Try to still keep them uniform and even, but yeah, that's staggered. All right, this one's coming down in a little closer. Just gonna tuck it in. Oh, I don't always worry about these being exactly 375. Maybe I should be a little more careful with that, but technically it's like there. And then if I move that again, it would be 0.375 in that direction. Then I got to kind of drag it in. These can be kind of a pain, especially when they're. That's like maybe a good position for that. I'll move this away. I'm actually going to move it to technically me because I didn't need this plane. It wasn't the part I used. I'm going to move this to that same little weird clipped by and just get it out of my view. And then I'll probably line this one up with that other one. As far as like polar tracking like that. Yeah, keep them in alignment. Maybe I'll come over here like that. Good, good. It's clear to read. Heck yes, it is. Those are all cleaned up. This one down here. So this one will be a little interesting here. I just come into maybe this point. Maybe I'll stop it for a second. That was just kind of eyeball, then 0.375. That's where that one could start. And then this one I could bundle up next to it. Let's see what this one without pulling all funny. Yeah, I've got a trick underneath there. Let me show you that again. So I'll show you. I'm going to delete that. And then there's this secret line here that you don't even know is there. I'm going to delete it real quick. So this is what you may have, and this is what doesn't pull. I really can't. I can pull it like here maybe, and then yeah, this would actually work, right? Like that. This would work fine as long as you have that center line pulled across there. So maybe I don't even need that. If I think I had to put that because before I pulled the center line, I can't remember, but yeah, I've got my center line pulled through kind of excessively. Um, Mostly because I'm catching this dimension, but I may have to tuck this in a little bit. So right now I'll use it to my advantage with that dimension and say I'm coming here where it intersects there. And then I'm going to pull perfectly perpendicular right here. And then I can pull it out. So technically the difference is this thing isn't extending to that object edge. I'm kind of like fudging it because this one is. So I can kind of get away with this because I have overlapping extension lines when really if I try to pull that to its object edge, it does that on me. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it because when I plot this thing, you're not going to be able to tell that I've got a secret going on there. It's like some hidden. Yeah, you notice that when you go to move this thing, and be like, dang it, I got to like redo it or something. But and then I slid it back this way for a moment, like and I kind of eyeballed that this was like I figured like that's coming off the object, and I established my 0.375 from there. So really that dimension, I kind of want it to live there. And then I'm going to bundle this one just a quarter inch away, which is a little too close. I think I'm just drag it up and offset it just a little bit like that. And then I've got that 30 that's kind of weird. And so I feel like I might pull this beyond these like this. Then I kind of free up any interference. I've got good legibility. The one problem I do have here is maybe I do need to pop this out to something more like that. I want it on the other side though, please. Please do what I want. Whichever one of you are going to stay, I don't know. Something like that. And then what I've got is an extension line or maybe even the center line. I'm going to pull this back a little bit to here. And that's going to affect my half inch. So let me undo that. I'm going to pull that center line at least back in front of the half inch here like this. Oh, I got to keep it past it just a little bit. So I'm strategically using this one too. How about that? That works for me. Hey, see, okay, that's fine. Yep. We'll catch you Monday. All right. I need to chop this line through that. So I feel the one I'm going to chop is going to be I'm going to chop this one. I'm going to use this to do the chopping. I think. Yeah, like that. Because that's technically an extension line for that dimension. This is the dimension line that I don't want to cut. So I leave something like this. I could drop that 1 inch in there, but then it gets like it kind of looks weird. It has arrows, but not very much line. So I think I'll leave mine like that. This gets kind of busy or out and away from the part, but it's clear. So, and then I just need to finish this one here. So um, here's an intermediate dimension, looks like the smallest. And then of course I got to go out to use that spacing tool again, that one to this one to this one. I click 0.25. This view is going to move for me now. I got to clear up some space. No specific dimension, just clear so I'm not interfering. This looks decent. A little bit of cleanup there, and then I got to clean up these ones here. So these ones will be kind of weird. I might pull this one this way. Yeah. Then I might kind of these, I hate to ever get these two grips like gripped on top of each other. So I don't know. I'm just gonna come away about about 0.375, yeah. Half inch might be able to fall between. I think it does. That's pretty good and clear. Seven, I think 3/4 can drop in between as well. And then I might just space those out. This one doesn't space as good when it has this going on. I think it'll throw your spacing funny. So sometimes I just grab these, pull it back to here, then I'll space it away that 1/4 inch. I feel like that's a little tight, so I'm going to extend that just a little bit and offset just a little bit. And then I'll bring this one in. Oh, just offset it a little bit more. Just looking for these to roughly be about the same. It looks like I could step away just a little. Okay. That's pretty clear, pretty clear. If I drop this in, I'll get the lines. Maybe I like this. Maybe I like that okay. It's arguable, but this one I'm going to bring in just a little closer, tuck this in. Those leader lines should be 30, 45, somewhere around there, just not 90 and not 180. All right, that's viewport work. Sheesh, never ends. Yeah, it's kind of hard to dial these in. I've got to do some orthographic alignment, so I definitely need a layer to do that.
Hey Matt,
Yeah,
since, we don't really have any like reference lines, what lines would you break on the one corner in the top view?
let's see here. This one right here. For doing what I'm going to do is a line, or oh, for breaking the lines. Yeah, let me see. Let me go back out there. Let me go look in that viewport. I think there probably is some overlapping that I didn't do, maybe. Is there right this one here?
The one with the 1.5 to.
Oh, 1.52. Oh yeah, where's my two at? This one here? Or wait, where am I at? Oh, right here. Oh yeah, right here. Oh yeah, definitely. I could break these out. Yes, yes, yes. I do have some good overlapping here. Definitely break one of these, huh? And yeah, I don't, and it technically wouldn't matter which one I broke here. So I feel like you could choose either. Yeah, that's good. Definitely. Because these are both extension lines. So one of them doesn't take priority over the other for sure. So I feel like I could, break whatever one I choose second will be the one that does the breaking like that. Yeah. Sometimes that one I actually like to choose because otherwise I would have had multiple dimensions to break, right? So maybe I chose that wise because I only had one extension line to choose that one first. If you chose this one first, you'd have to do that twice to break through that one. Oh yeah, I got you. No, that's good. That is my one that, yeah, that's a nice detail. And I've actually got that going on here a little bit too, to where technically this one, maybe I would pull this just a little bit further. So I actually try to clear a break and then I can really establish that break. I'm going to break this one around this one. Maybe that looks better anyway. Yeah. I'm definitely less, yeah, this is still good. I feel like I'm kind of far away. Like I feel like I should be able to drag that thing a little bit closer. It's just that shoulder length kind of keeps me. I don't like that as well. In some ways I do, but I'll just come out of the way somewhere. I'll see what I got in my viewport. I'll see what my viewports are doing and where I'm restricted on size wise. So let me at least just size these things so I can see everything that's in them, not go into them. Sorry. Go out of them. Single selection. There we go. So I just want to make sure I'm not clipping something off in it, right? And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes I like to turn off that grid when I'm looking at this. There we go. Like I say, I've got a limited amount of space, so let's make sure I'm not overdoing this more than I have to. I don't want to I want to clip that though. Okay, that's great. That's gonna work good. It's gonna fit good, but I gotta get it on my sheet to fit. So I gotta probably drag it in here at least to there. And then I'm gonna come over to this viewport and size it to escape. So I don't need this to be that tall, just there. So we can tuck in a little bit. This one I need a little more, only to there. And I don't need that much this way. So there's my at least compact size. I should be able to get that to kind of fit. I might lift it up a little bit, get this so it can clear that box if it needs to. So I'll say, and I've got some room to go up anyway, so let's go up. Roughly there, I haven't orthographically aligned it, so I'll come back and draw some lines. I'm just kind of making sure I'll be able to, oh, this one, I may need to go up higher. This is going to be the one that drives it because it's got a view label. So let me size this so it's not getting chopped off. Nothing out that way. Still chopping off some of my description there, at least to there, right? So I've got to be able to get this base up higher than that. So that's tricky. I don't think I'm going to have enough room to lift. Well, I have some room. I'll just see, I guess. This one is going to be my how low it can go. How low can it go? It's the limbo one. There's as low as it can go. Let me get rid of that grid for a second too. And in here, I'll get rid of that grid so I can see them just a little clearer. So that's really, I need to, if my top view doesn't fit here, I'm going to have to maybe consider scaling it down, which will affect everything. It'll affect my spacing and stuff a little bit. So I'm going to try not to have to do that, but there might be a reason that I don't need to orthographically align this technically. Like this is a dislocated view. So I could break this rule right now. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna worry about that orthographic alignment because technically I'm not off this anyway. I'm actually off this. So I'm gonna say this thing can just, in fact, it's better if I don't connect those orthographically so that I keep the true nature of it being a rotated or removed view, like removed. So I might put it up here actually, leave room for this revision table to grow. Clearly not orthographically aligned with anything. That's actually what I want now that I think about this. The only orthographic alignment I need is this front view to top view. So I've got my layer built. It's layer 4, right? Layer 4, and I'm gonna draw a line above and through this point. Essentially, that's kind of a point that I'm gonna use to align. But I make these kind of way obtuse here just so they're clearly not part of, and that's drawn on the drawing sheet, right? That's like kind of where our borders and stuff live is where I've drawn that line. It's not in a viewport at all. It's just on top of the paper. And then I can align this top view to it. So let's do that. Move this view by this particular edge over to that. And now I'm in orthographic alignment with the front view, which is critical. Those two views need to talk to each other. That way I can infer the dimensions from one to the other. This is a dislocated removed view, so it should be that actually saves me some grief of not being able to fit. I knew I wouldn't be able to with all the information. However, I could have bundled, like I could have been like, well, I'll pull all these dimensions up above then where I've got room, move my view label up. I would have been able to drop this lower. And if I really needed to put it in orthographic alignment with some cleanup, I could have got it there. But I think this is a done deal. I'm going to take a look at the PDF, turn that off. And so I'll just control P and take a look at this PDF. I always do this and make sure my layers are popping right. This, obviously, my line type scales need to be refined. So that's the last thing here. Oh man, the cleanup on the end of this is why it takes a while. But I like this. I just need to do line type scale corrections. And I didn't really realize it until I did this. I'm like, oh yeah, I can see my center lines need refined. My view plane I need to see it break up. So it's too coarse. It looks solid and it should have some breaks in it. So let's go do some line type scale. That's when I usually notice when center lines and extension lines are not overlapping correctly, is once I refine the line type scale, I'll see the breakup and if I don't see it, it's because my extension line is usually going across too much still. So it's one of my indicators when I adjust line type scale. So I'm going to come in here and let's start with this view, I guess. But clearly these need to be finer. And I think on a 1-to-1 with these small, I've been using like a quarter, 0.25. And see there, I can tell my extension lines are doing correctly. And then I'll just match those properties for my other center marks at least. This is a center mark, right? Yep. See, I'm suspicious here. I didn't see the breakup necessarily, so I'll have to just check those dimensions. I'll keep matching some properties here. Um, that one, that one, this one. This is a separate center mark. So now I'm starting to see them all break up nicely, except for maybe that one. Hey, that looks good. It's starting to look really good. This, I'm a little suspicious here. Yeah, maybe this is okay. That's a 1/4 inch. Yeah, it is. I'm suspicious this one should come back to that object edge. So a little bit less center line showing there, and a little bit more extension line showing. This one I was suspicious of not, but yeah, see, I could tell I'd never tucked that one back because I didn't see the center line break up. So that's my indicator. There it is. In fact, I think I tucked it back. That's good. Yeah, that's good. This one though, did I tuck that one back? Nope, didn't tuck that one back either. Gotta look at a pretty critical eye here. Oh, I pulled something else wrong. Oop, back up, back up. There we go. I had multiple selections on, I think. This one should be tucked back to the object edge. There, now I'm starting to see my center lines correct. This one's, I can't remember if I adjusted that or not. Nope, it's a little bit oversized, so I'll maybe just extend it through there like that. I like my hidden line type scale. It looks good. This is the other line type scale I didn't like, this one. 0.5. I start to see the breakup at 0.5. I think I still may go even finer than that. 0.25. That looks better to me. Now I'm starting to see the actual line type show up. Not through the turn, but that's okay. That's the reason why I don't use that as that same a polyline of that because it'll break up that way. Technically, it could if I go fine enough, it could break up that. But anyway, it's a good. I don't know actually what layer I put those on. I put them on visible object layer. Okay, that's good. Whatever block layer you're on, technically blocks usually go in on the 0 layer, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. But generally, if you have a lot of blocks in a print, you might find them on the 0 layer, and it's a layer we really don't use for anything, but we have it. It's a default layer. Blocks generally get inserted on the on 0 as a just a standard, maybe an AutoCAD standard more than it is any ASME standard, but insert blocks on layer 0. Mine are on the visible object layer, so anyway, I won't worry too much. That's where I created them. That's why they're there. All right, let's finish line type scales here. This one needs, I think 2.5 is what I've been liking. It's only that one. Yep. I'll still keep the hidden line. Looks okay. That's the only refinement I need to do there, I think. And then over here, I'll do the same scale adjustment. Could have just, oh yeah, and these ones need to be refined as well. Match those properties. Paintbrush this one over here. Heck yes. Hey, that looks pretty good. I could extend this. I do feel like I'd like this to come through this outer surface. So I might adjust I'm almost out of my viewport. I'm still in it, but it looks close. And then I'll leave it just extended through that there. But I did like to extend that through so that concentric nature of those two features looks good. Okay. I'm happier with this. This should look better when I look at the PDF again now. Looking better. Looks good. I'm gonna call this done. Pass this on for somebody else to check. Heck yeah, I can't call it done yet. I gotta fill out my title block. The first thing I sent this to someone, they'd be like, yeah, guess what? I see an instant revision. I'm like, dang it. That's usually what happens. You get so in the weeds on fixing stuff that you've just missed some of the obvious stuff, right? And the checker finds them like right away. And you're like, dang it, I'm an idiot. That happens. I'm a one-to-one scale. I don't need to change that. I just need to change that I'm the drawer. So someone can get their butt chewed if this is wrong. It's going to be me. Sign yourself up for trouble coming your way. This is the 23rd already of October. Glad it's not the 23rd of December yet. That would be bad. I'd be unprepared for that. I call mine my title. Come here, title. This is a transition. Did a transition support? Yeah. And I call mine ortho. Apply. I think that's the last thing I have to change. Yes. Those are my, okay. Got my name, date. What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, my revision block should be 0, I think, unless I changed it. I want it to be revision. Oh, up above. Yes, yes, my revision block. Yeah, this one also has a rev 0, which is kind of annoying, but but I'd have to remember to change both into true revision. And I'm going to change my name so it probably fits in here eventually. So yes, right here. I'm gonna do all these. There's my initials. the other date format that I prefer, but it doesn't really jive with the lower format, so that's annoying. And then yeah, sent. Production. CT, I'll try to spell it right. Where's spell check when you need it? And then this is an NA. Yeah. I just put NA there. If you left XX, it's okay. It's just that I don't have a zone to consider. I should change that name. That works good on a metric print because there is zoning, but yeah, that's better. And then I will change the name of this. If I ever did have a drawing name that didn't fit here, I would refine this because I don't want this to like fall out of my border and cover my actual additional rev block. So I actually am changing the name of this. This is going to become my more of my standard copy here for 2025. So save that. That's it. That's the end of this thing.